We are live. We are freaking live right here on the Ango Show immediately after Raw. Guys, I told you the new season, the new era is upon us, and we are back. Please let me know if the audio and everything is good because I just want to make sure everything's working. WWE Raw just got off the air. I'm super excited about tonight's episode of Raw. There was some good, there was some bad, there were some things I liked, there were some things I didn't like, but we're going to make this the best live content on YouTube, and I need your guys' help. So if you guys haven't already clicked that like button, please do me a favor and go ahead and just click that like button. It would be so appreciated. Guys, I appreciate everybody for showing up tonight. Get ready for this because we will be doing more live streams. Maybe you missed the announcement. Ango in the Morning's coming back, plus live review shows, plus live prediction shows, plus live podcasts. There's going to be a lot of live content. No more restrictions. Hopefully, everybody enjoys this. Solid Raw. I'll tell you guys off the rip, solid Raw. I got my notes on the phone, so we'll be going through them. I was watching Raw tonight, uninterrupted, not distracted at all. And I hope you guys are all having a great day. Shout out to Jeff, Real Take Wrestling, Edwin, Cedric, Rick. Shout out to everybody here. Frickin' Albert Ponce is here. Albert Ponce just dropped a super chat. I don't know if I got that alert. I got the alert. It came in. So the alerts are working. Shout out to Albert Ponce, OG on the channel, dropping in $2 super chat. Guys, if you want to support the channel, best way to do that, liking this video, sharing the stream. Super chats are always very helpful. Whatever I make from super chats essentially goes back into this channel, which, by the way, you guys can see I'm kind of like changing the background and stuff. I plan on putting stuff in that organizer thing. Plan on putting another one right there. Big neon sign on the wall, working on it. It's going to take a little bit of time. That's not what you guys want to talk about. You guys want to talk about pro wrestling. So shout out to all of you guys for joining me tonight on this beautiful day. It's getting cold in Michigan, so it was really nice and comfortable to be able to watch Raw. I'm going to bring in a guest in a little bit because we're going to talk, of course, and it's going to be very fun. Shout out to Robin Plays Games for becoming a level 2 member. Guys, become a member on the channel. You get cool emotes and all that cool stuff. Woo! Drop those in the chat. You already know we got tons of emotes that have been updated into the stream. But guys, overall, solid Raw. Very solid Raw. And I'm pretty excited about it. Cedric Gilmer just became a member for 14 months, level 1. Shout out to Cedric. Boy, this is going to be fun. Really quick before I could go down to the show ended with CM Punk making the promo. We're going to talk a lot about that in just a little bit. Keep in mind, with CM Punk, very interesting stuff. You know, I got to tell you guys, when it comes to CM Punk, the infamous line, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. And that's how the show ended. So very cool stuff by CM Punk there. Very cool stuff by CM Punk. He didn't have to take shots at AEW. You know, if there was one thing I really appreciated about CM Punk's promo, he didn't have to talk about AEW whatsoever. And the reality is, when you're CM Punk and you've been under this scrutiny and there's controversy and there's a whole bunch of stuff being said about you online, it's easy to do what the AEW company does, and that's the shooting back and forth. CM Punk was here to make a statement. He says that he's home. It's beautiful. We're going to talk more about that promo in just a little bit. Very crazy, man. It was crazy to even... Randy Orton and CM Punk, man, coming back is just remarkable. So keep that in mind. It's just remarkable to think in general. Shout out to Justin, member for 14 months, level 2. Appreciate you, bro. We got a super chat from Andre Benson for $2. He says, haven't watched an entire Raw in years. Good tonight. Yes, I agree. It was a good episode. It could have been better. I'm not going to say it was perfect, but it was good. It was solid. WWE Raw kicked off with the Randy Orton promo. And I swear to God, guys, I don't know what the hell it is about the Judgment Day. Okay, the Judgment Day interrupting people's promos, it's literally become a meme at this point. So, of course, they had to interrupt. And I just thought that was so funny to me. I don't know why. The Judgment Day, I love them. I enjoy watching them. Very, very cool opening segment. Randy Orton gets this massive babyface pop. People are obviously excited he's back. I'm happy about that. He gets interrupted by the Judgment Day. JD McDonough and Dominic attack him from behind. Those bastards, they attacked him. And, it was actually really funny because when they attacked him, before they attacked him or whatever, Rhea Ripley said something about mommy this, mommy that, typical Rhea Ripley stuff. But Randy Orton actually said something. He goes, "Daddy's back." And I swear to God, I don't know why this shit popped me, but it popped me. It gave me a big pop. I laughed really hard. I loved it. I thought it was funny. Really good opening to WWE Raw. And, in addition to that, what I found to be really good about this is JD McDonough, as an NXT call-up, has been handled so well. You don't got to rush these call-ups. You don't got to put them in the world title picture right away. You got to find a role for them that works. When you find a role that works for them, what you tend to notice a little bit is that the audience gets acclimated to them and they start to get familiarized with them. That's exactly what we're seeing with JD McDonough. He eats the RKO. He eats the RKO, and it's so beautiful. This guy is great at selling. This guy is so good at this type of stuff. Just a really cool way to open the show. Randy Orton, pissed off. He says he's going to go to Adam Pearce and get a match with Dominic Mysterio. And then sure enough, Dominic Mysterio looks scared shitless. And that to me was just a nice little touch, right? The Judgment Day are constantly threatening other people. Dominic Mysterio is just, he's scared, man. And I love that. I love the fact that they ran with this. I thought that was a really cool thing. And me personally, as a fan of the Judgment Day, as a fan of Dominic Mysterio, I really like to pay attention to those small little nuances because Randy Orton is back. You got to make Randy Orton look great. Randy Orton looks great. He's big. He's jacked. He's on fire. So the cool thing is right here when I see this, I look at this situation with Randy Orton taking out Dom and JD. He gets his match later on, which we're going to talk about the match. It makes me more invested to see Judgment Day, and there's a couple of reasons why. Because later on in the show, it actually turns out to be a pretty funny segment, but there's a segment with the Judgment Day later, so there's continuity throughout the night. So Dominic Mysterio being scared in that moment wasn't the only moment throughout the night in which he was fearful of Randy. I love it. I love it. Very, very cool stuff there. Before we move on, we got a couple shout-outs. Celsius Reloaded dropping I don't know your currency, brother. CLP 1000. I don't know what it is, but you're contributing to the channel, so shout out to you. He says, welcome back, Ango. Loved Punk reintroduction promo. And that's exactly what that was. It was a reintroduction promo. He didn't have to take shots at AEW. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the live stream. Miles Jubert Roberson, member for 6 months. He says, what up, Ango? I'm from the West Coast, so I'm watching it just now. Just want to say what's up. Hey, Miles, thank you for the love. Thank you for being a member for 6 months. I appreciate you. Definitely appreciated. And then we got another super chat from Robin Plays Games for $5. He says that R-Truth and Judgment Day backstage segment made me laugh my ass off so much. Brother, I don't know what the hell it is about R-Truth. The stuff could be so cringy and so silly and so dumb, but for some freaking reason, my man, I love it. I love R-Truth. I swear to God, I miss R-Truth so much, and it's cool to watch him on TV again because realistically, it's okay. Me, as a wrestling fan, you guys know I like this. You know that on a personal level, I love when wrestling could be a little bit more fun and a little bit more wacky. Is it cringy? Is it stupid? Yeah. But R-Truth and Judgment Day backstage segment was funny. And guys, it actually kind of leads to this. We get this backstage segment with Jelly Roll. So the tag teams in the tag team turmoil match are going to be in they're backstage and they bring out Jelly Roll. And I'm sorry, but I don't know who the hell Jelly Roll is. I don't know who Jelly Roll is. I don't listen to country music. I don't listen to any of that. I listen to Albanian music. At this point, I pretty much stopped listening to everything else that's out there because I don't really care for it anymore. So Jelly Roll comes out. I find out on Twitter, X, that this guy is absolutely massive, and he's like a really, really talented, really, really popular country star. He got a big pop, by the way. They're in Nashville, so I guess it makes sense. R-Truth pops out, and he's like, Jelly Roll, and he's associating Jelly Roll with food, and that just leads into some really funny stuff that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Robin, thank you for that super chat. I appreciate it. Wow. It feels good to be streaming, guys. I appreciate you all coming through. We got another super chat from Tattoo Nick. Whoa, Tattoo Nick. What an OG. $4.99. He says, welcome back to doing a live show. Guys, they're going to keep coming. They're going to keep coming. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great experience. Make sure you drop those fire emojis in the chat because we got those new emotes on here. So I would definitely appreciate if you guys used them. Really quick, we're going to take a break from the feed, and just a quick reminder that if you guys want to become a member, you guys can see what I'm talking about, those emotes and all that cool stuff. Plus, we got Discord. All those links are in the description. And then if you guys are somebody who wants to advertise your YouTube channel or something like that, you could do that too. Go ahead and email me. Nonetheless, back to the feed, back to the show. Let's talk about it. We get the Tag Team Turmoil match. It's the first match. It's the first match of tonight's event. And guys, I liked it, but I was kind of confused. There was some things I don't know if I necessarily liked about this. So, Tag Team Turmoil match, DIY, Otis and Tozawa open up. DIY obviously advances. Fun little back and forth, whatever, nothing too crazy. DIY advances, Indus Sher comes out, and for some reason they got quickly eliminated. I was kind of, I don't know. Can I be honest with you guys? I was kind of thrown off by this. You're trying to push Indus Sher, at least to a certain extent. You're trying to push them a little bit. I don't know why, but they lost relatively quickly. And the reason why I was even a little bit more confused is this. The Creeds end up coming into the Tag Team Turmoil match. When the Creeds end up getting into the Tag Team Turmoil match, they end up taking out DIY. The problem that I had with this was if DIY was going to get removed, right, in any capacity, if DIY is going to get taken out, shouldn't it have looked like they were at least having a grueling back and forth with Indus Sher? Like, I imagine if you had Indus Sher beating the shit out of DIY and then they steal the win, right? Like, that would make sense as to why the Creed brothers took him out, but it wasn't really like that. So I felt like they missed the opportunity to make Indus Sher look a little bit more dominant. You can make them look dominant even while taking the pin. So it was just kind of like a strange thing. I don't know how to really explain it. But DIY ended up getting taken out by the Creed brothers. Now, with that being said, I look at the Creed brothers as a very, very talented tag team. They're doing a good job with the call up, in my opinion. So they get called up. Now they're in this Tag Team Turmoil match. They do some really good stuff here. I don't know, really. There's a little bit of confusion with the tag team division. I'm going to get to that in a second. The Creed brothers take out DIY. I found that to be very interesting. Then the New Day come in. Excuse me. The New Day comes in, and with the New Day, they get eliminated by the Creeds. Okay, not a problem. Again, I understand. It makes a lot of sense. Then we get Imperium in the Tag Team Turmoil match. For whatever reason, and I get there's like a little bit of a story with Imperium possibly breaking up or whatever it may be. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But the Creeds end up beating Imperium. They do this finish where Giovanni Vinci gets hit with a cannonball from the top rope. He lands on his arm. It looks really bad. And you can hear the ref yell for the cover, for the pin. And that ended the match. It was kind of anticlimactic. So they have this match. The Creeds win. I already talked about how Indus Sher could have looked a little bit more dominant. But I have no idea why the hell DIY is being booked this way. Like, I'm not sure whatsoever. Like, with DIY, I have, and maybe this is a bad opinion. I don't know. Maybe this is a bad take. You got to get DIY acclimated to the main roster. You got to get them over. You got to get people invested in them. You got to do something with DIY. I want to see them at WrestleMania in a massive tag team championship match. I feel like they are deserving of it. I think they are worthy of it. And I think they are more than capable of putting on a fantastic match. To have DIY eliminate Indus, but then not really have a battle with them. It was pretty decisive, right? But then to have them get eliminated by the Creeds and then the Creeds go on to win the match, it was just kind of weird. I have no problem with the way that I have no problem with them losing. I have a problem with the way that they lost, if that makes sense. And I found that to be a little bit problematic in my opinion. What this really taught me were two things. There's 2 points that I need to make. And I'm gonna be very, very open and honest about this. I love the Creed brothers. I think they're fantastic. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, I think Julius Creed needs to be a single star. I do. I think Julius Creed is the MVP of this tag team turmoil match. I think this guy is going to be a massive singles guy. I know we often look at Braun Breaker as like the next John Cena or whatever it is, but I feel like Julius Creed, there's something about this guy that is going to scream massive success as a singles guy in the main roster. I really do. And that was one of the major thoughts that I had at first initially while watching this match. I was like, damn, Julius Creed is that good. But I will tell you guys this much. The second thing I really thought about was WWE has a lot of great tag teams. It's time to split up those damn tag team championship belts. I cannot wait any longer. I'm just being completely honest with you guys. I cannot wait too long for these titles to be split. The Judgment Day are holding undisputed championships. Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis, they need to fight about this, splitting up the titles. They need to separate it because I see Indus, I see DIY, I see the Creed brothers, I see Pretty Deadly, I see the Brawling Brutes. Well, Brawling Brutes might be done now, but I see all these different tag teams. Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, great tag team. I see a lot of great tag teams out there in WWE. It is detrimental to the division by having just one set of tag team championships. I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. And when I was watching this, I was really bothered by it. Those were the two things I really took from that match. The tag team turmoil match was fine. I was kind of confused with the way some people were pinned or the way they lost. But there's still a lot of time left. I got to wait and see how things play out. I see some people in the chat saying maybe DIY should turn heel. Maybe that could work. I don't know. I don't know what it is about DIY, but there's something that just seems a little bit off. It's not like they're bad, but there's just something that seems off, and I would like to see that eventually change. With that being said, we did get another super chat that I want to shout out. Justin Macias, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. He dropped a $4.99 super chat. I appreciate that. Let me give you a heart right there. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, Justin. Excuse me. And then we got another shout out, another super chat, $2 from Albert Ponce. He says, Indus, DIY, Zoe losing were head scratchers. And we're definitely going to talk about Zoe Stark in a little bit. Again, if you want somebody to lose, there's a way to have them lose. And I feel like I actually agree with Albert here in the sense that, like, these decisions were kind of odd. Honestly, I did feel a little bit like, not that it was odd, it wasn't odd that they lost the matches. It was odd in the way that they lost their matches. That to me is the biggest thing. Because in wrestling, and we talk about this a lot, wins and losses matter. They do to a certain degree. But how somebody loses their match can really protect them for the future. And I definitely agree in that sense. And that's why I kind of want to make that point. It's like, if you split up the tag team division, it solves that problem. Because you're putting a whole bunch of tag teams in one match where you're trying to get them all over at the same time. See the problem there? And obviously, we'll talk a little bit about Zoe in just a little bit. Shout out to Albert for the super chat as well. Jake Miller subscribing to the channel for a membership. Shout out to Jake Miller becoming a level 2 member. Appreciate you. We're going to keep it going. Lots of things happening throughout the show. The next thing you know is we get the Judgment Day segment backstage, R-Truth, jelly rolls, powdered sugar all over the couches. I love R-Truth. I love the Judgment Day thing here. Two things I really want to point out about this segment, and we'll keep it moving. Within this segment, the one thing that I really noticed is the Judgment Day, Damian Priest, he's like kind of insecure in a sense. This group kind of made him insecure because they didn't bring anything up to him, and he's like, okay, get it out of your system. You know, I was the leader of War Games, and I let us down, whatever. And that's not necessarily the issue. They didn't really have an issue with him. He kind of made it an issue. I want to see where this continues to go. But one thing that I thought that was really interesting here, and more significantly about this segment, was the fact that while I was watching the segment, Dominic Mysterio continues to look fearful. Actually, Judgment Day as a whole kind of looked fearful. So I think this is continuing the slow burn of what has happened. It's kind of a slow burn of what has happened with the Judgment Day, where we know at some point the group is going to split up. How the group splits up will be very interesting. And I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. But I think a lot of the Judgment Day breaking up, or, you know, kicking out Damian Priest, or however it goes, it's probably going to likely be due to the fact that Damian Priest can't successfully cash in Money in the Bank. I fully believe that. Clip this if you want. Damian Priest is not successfully cashing in Money in the Bank, and it's going to be because of the Judgment Day and Damian Priest not being on the same level. That right there isn't a good thing for Damian Priest. But it's a good thing for a fan because we're watching the story develop. I want to see it all happen. And, you know, I think Damian Priest is going to be a hell of a singles competitor, right? Like, I think he'll be a very good singles guy. He was a good singles guy before under Vince McMahon, under WWE with Triple H. I feel like that'll even improve more. So that's something I'm actually like looking forward to. And truth be told, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I think if Damian Priest goes singles, I would love to see him with Paul Heyman. Like, that would be something I would be very, very interested with. So definitely pay attention to that. Next, we get the Cody announcement. I freaking loved this, man. I loved this so much. Cody Rhodes makes a big announcement. He comes out, he gets emotional talking about Survivor Series War Games. Rightfully so. I understand. When Cody Rhodes cuts out this emotional promo, the lights go out. I don't know why, but this right here was just a banger. It was a banger. I was watching this, and the lights go out on Cody, and I'm just like kind of confused. Honestly, like I'm kind of confused. And then Shinsuke Nakamura's promo pops up. For weeks and weeks and weeks, Shinsuke Nakamura has been talking about Cody Rhodes. Great promo. He delivers it in Japanese. It's convincing. The tonality, the delivery, beautiful. There's nothing better than these Shinsuke Nakamura video packages. The way that they're presenting Shinsuke Nakamura is a legitimate threat. Yes, he needs to win a big feud. I'm not stupid. I understand that. He definitely needs to win a big feud. The problem is they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot here with Cody, because there's no way Shinsuke Nakamura is going to beat Cody. I cannot see that being the case. I would be absolutely shocked. But what's amazing is after this promo goes off, Shinsuke Nakamura is right behind Cody Rhodes, dressed in all black, and hits him with the red mist. Unbelievable. This was like super legit, man. Super legit. I genuinely loved that. I love the idea of having Shinsuke do the red mist, his attire, his presentation, the video packages, the intrigue with the lights cutting out. Fuck. It was so good, man. So good. And here's the thing. I am one of those people who never really believed Shinsuke Nakamura was presented well in the WWE. I always felt like while he did have some good storylines or some good matches here and there, I pretty much felt like in the past a lot of his runs were underwhelming. But this is one of those situations where I get really excited about Cody versus Shinsuke. And I have no idea how they're going to book this because, like I said, they could be shooting themselves in the foot here. But the reality is that the presentation of it is enough to keep me intrigued. So I have to keep watching, right? I think that's what we all have to do. We have to keep watching and see how they go about it because it's interesting. You don't want Cody losing. Cody's going to go to WrestleMania 40 and win the World Heavyweight. Pause. He's going to win the WWE Undisputed Championship. He ain't got time to lose to Shinsuke. So how do they go about this with Shinsuke Nakamura? Guys, I get a very strong feeling, and I could be wrong here. This is no scoop, but I get a very strong feeling that at some point we are going to see Okada in WWE. And if you're Okada and you come to WWE, I don't think there's a lot of things that people got to worry about. I think if you look at how WWE is, I think WWE is presenting Nakamura and Dragon Lee in a way where international talents could come into WWE and feel a little bit more confident that Triple H is not going to mess around and turn them into a stereotypical bullshit-ass gimmick. That's one of the things I'm kind of catching on to. And I feel like that's a real mission that WWE is trying to change, right? And that doesn't happen overnight. It has to happen through a series of weeks. So that to me is one of the things that excites me. And truth be told, the Shinsuke Nakamura and Cody Rhodes thing could be a really, really good storyline, but it could piss off a lot of people depending on how they book the finishes. So they got to be very careful with how they book the finishes. I find that to be really important. We did get a couple more super chats, so before we move on, let's get to those. Darth Bane dropped a $1.99 super chat. He says, where in the world is Jade Cargill? Triple H answered that question. Triple H answered that question on the Survivor Series War Games. Press conference. Gosh, I don't know why I was trying to blank. He addressed that on the press conference. They're developing Jade. Jade did not have any sort of training and development in AEW. Like nothing. The way AEW develops people and the way WWE develops talent, there's just two different things. So Darth Bane, to answer your questions, Jade Cargill's in the Performance Center working very hard to get to the point where people will be very satisfied. And I think for WWE, you're doing a lot of other things with your women's division. You don't need her at this exact moment, if that makes sense. I think that's the reason why Nia Jax, in a way, is kind of getting this big push. It's because they need somebody credible for Rhea Ripley at the Rumble. And I think after the Royal Rumble, I think you bring in Jade Cargill and then move on from there. Hopefully that's the case. And I hope that Jade Cargill actually pans out because that's a really important thing. They hyped her up as a big deal. The last thing WWE needs is to completely screw that up. They cannot screw that up. They have to make sure she's good. The presentation is money. WWE can give her training wheels. They can give her a little bit of a push on the bike, but she needs to ride the damn thing. I have a lot of confidence in Jade Cargill that she'll be able to. So hopefully that answers your question. Darth Bane, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Zachary Giolo. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Zachary Giolo. $1.99 super chat. Zachary says, did you hear any difference in the intro music? Yes, there was a new theme song for the WWE Raw intro. I liked it. A lot of people didn't like it. I like it. The reason why I like it, because I don't really give a shit about the intro music to begin with, but it works. It fits. It kind of feels... Me personally, if I'm going to listen to music, I'm going to listen to music that's more hip-hop-ish anyways. So me personally, that's kind of how I look at it. It's like, it works. It doesn't need to be anything extravagant. Me personally, I would actually prefer if WWE and AEW and all these other companies don't even have an intro. Because I feel like when you do an intro, I feel like when you do an intro, you're taking time off from the screen. You know what I mean? You're taking time off from the wrestlers to be on screen. That's just my opinion. But I thought it worked. I thought it was cool. It was completely fine. But yes, there was a difference in the theme song. Shout out to Zachary and Darth Bane for those super chats. Appreciate it. We got another super chat from Justin Kennington for $2. He says, will Shinsuke have a faction? I would not mind a faction led by Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, I would definitely not mind it. Yeah, I mean, I think Shinsuke Nakamura should have a faction at some point. It's who would you put in the faction with Shinsuke Nakamura? In the past, I've kind of speculated or maybe even just fantasy booked the idea of AOP with Shinsuke. Like, that could be kind of cool. I would be cool with that. With Shinsuke having a faction, though, I don't know, man. I always looked at AOP when they were with Seth Rollins. I think that was like 2019, 2020, whatever. I love the presentation of that group. I feel like they could kind of do something similar with Shinsuke Nakamura. More of like a mobster type thing. Who knows? Who knows? But it would be cool. That would be the only faction I could think off the top of my head that I would actually enjoy. But it's also really hard to say, like, would it be successful or not? We're just starting to see more personality from... We're just starting to see the personality from Shinsuke. We got to keep that in mind. We're not used to that. But I'm down for a faction with Shinsuke Nakamura. For sure, I'm definitely down. With that being said, thank you, Justin, for the super chat. We'll keep it moving. Guys, we get Bronson Reed versus Ivar. The match was okay. Two big guys, big meaty men, slapping meat. I kind of liked it. I kind of hated it. It seemed like they had a lot more to give. Then it all makes sense. These guys have a back and forth match. Some moves are hitting, some aren't. Some spots are working out good, some spots aren't. They get a double count out. What a wonderful way to do a double count out. And I genuinely mean that. A very nice way to do a double count out, because the way that they did this essentially, and I thought this was super significant, Bronson Reed does a Death Valley driver onto Ivar into the barricade. They get double counted out. They just keep fighting. They just fight. They keep fighting in the crowd. At one point, Bronson Reed accidentally splashes one of the technical staff people by the camera operators. He definitely shouldn't have been a plant, because it didn't look like a plant. In fact, it kind of looked like an accident. It seemed like he didn't get out of the way. Maybe he didn't know it was coming. I don't know. They just keep fighting in the crowd. They keep fighting and fighting and fighting in the crowd. Then it gets to the point where Ivar, where like the cable boxes are, where they store all the cables and stuff like that. On top of the crowd, Ivar jumps off the top, hits the agents, the security, Bronson Reed. They're going to run this one back. And, it's like I was talking a little bit about DIY earlier. And when I was talking about DIY earlier, in this year, Bronson Reed's a good example of somebody. It's a perfect example of somebody who should be, like, it needs to be studied. WWE puts Bronson Reed in these big matches, even when he lost to Gunther, whatever it may be. You put them in these matches, you let them wrestle, you let them go out there and show personality. Eventually, people will catch on, and people will eventually cheer or boo, depending on what they're trying to accomplish. They did this. They did this. And the reality is, one of the things that people got to keep in mind is that the reality is with like Ivar and Bronson Reed, Ivar is finally getting a singles push. Bronson Reed is getting a push. You don't want both of these guys to lose. So at some point, there's going to have to be a rubber match. At some point, they're going to have to do that. And the cool thing about Bronson Reed versus Ivar was the match was kind of iffy. You can tell they were holding back from doing all this crazy shit. But then you get the double count out. You get the post-match stuff. the crowd erupts. The crowd wants this match. They want to keep watching them fight. The crowd was screaming, holy shit. They're getting the crowd to react. So, at the end of the day, DIY, Indus Sheer, Zoe Starks, some of these other people that are a little bit relatively new to the main roster, they need to look at what Bronson Reed is doing. WWE producers and agents and writers, they need to look at what they've been doing with Bronson Reed and apply that to the others on the main roster. Because Bronson Reed and Ivar are winning the crowd over. They're gaining new fans. And more specifically for Bronson Reed, this is something that they've been doing for week after week after week. They're building that intrigue for these guys. It's working out in their favor. So, personally speaking, I thought the match was okay. I didn't think it was necessarily the best, but the post-match stuff was like the shit that I was like, okay, this is absolutely fire. Absolutely fire. The next thing we get is a Nia Jax backstage segment. It's with Zoe and Shayna. This is basically to set the match up for tonight. It's whatever. We'll talk about the match in a minute. The next thing after that segment is a Imperium backstage segment with Gunther. Gunther is not happy. Giovanni Vinci says he's going to do something. He immediately gets cut off by Ludwig Kaiser. I don't know if they're trying to get rid of Giovanni Vinci. I don't know if they're trying to have him go singles. I don't know what the hell they're trying to do. But Ludwig Kaiser basically sees him. He shuts him the hell up. They keep him moving. And at that point, look, Gunther is the top Intercontinental Champion of all time. Ludwig and Giovanni Vinci, they move away. They get away from everything. He then gets interrupted by The Miz. They did the match. Miz wants a rematch. I don't need the rematch. But one thing I will say, Gunther is a very, 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 very good wrestler. I did not anticipate him having this really strong character arc. And I think a lot of you guys, and I see it in the chat and the way you guys talk about Gunther, this is an NXT call-up that has happened where it may literally go down in history as one of the greatest call-ups of all time. Because this was a guy who went from NXT UK, he went to NXT 2.0 for a very short period of time, goes to the main roster, becomes Intercontinental Champion under the Vince McMahon regime. He continues to hold it. I'm at the point where it's like, I see the Bronson Reeds out there. I see Ivar. I see all these different talent. Chad Gable. I see all these guys. And yes, you can have somebody dethrone Gunther, but I've gotten to the point where it's like I'm not even ready for him to drop the belt. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I've gotten to the point where I don't even want to see him drop the belt tells me at this stage that everything is just kind of filler, if that makes sense. And that's why I'm kind of against the idea of The Miz having a rematch, because at this point, you're using the Intercontinental Champion you're using that belt as a way to give a showcase to these other wrestlers. We've seen it with Chad Gable. We saw it with everyone, Ivar, Bronson Reed, whatever. We're seeing all those matches go down. Keep doing that until you're ready for Gunther to drop the belt. You don't need to do a rematch. There's a lot of guys who can come in and have these great matches with Gunther. I'm at the stage, though, when it comes to The Miz, I'm done with it. Let's see what else we got. Do we get any more super chats? I feel like I'm forgetting to read some super chats. Okay, no big deal. Whatever. All right, yeah, guys, don't forget, if you guys want to support the channel, you could do that. Become a member starting at $1 a month. Plus, we got our Discord, and there's obviously advertising opportunities as well. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to do that. But overall, very, very good episode of Raw. We're going to keep it moving. So with that being said, let's keep it going. Let's bring back the notes again. So yeah, Seth Rollins comes out for a promo. Seth Rollins gets this promo. Massive CM Punk chants. People are going crazy, obviously. It makes a lot of sense. Rollins says something about he doesn't want to waste his time. He doesn't want to waste his breath talking about that hypocrite. Massive, massive pop. This is Triple H and the WWE doing another slow burn storyline. So another slow burn storyline. For those who think it's going to be Seth and Punk at the Royal Rumble, that's always a possibility. They planted the seed. I'm pretty sure that's happening at WrestleMania. World Heavyweight Championship main eventing night 1. I firmly believe that's going to be the case. I think we're going to get to the point where I think CM Punk is going to walk out. He's going to finally get his WrestleMania main event, and he's going to walk out World Heavyweight Champion. But Seth Rollins moves on from him. This promo is so badass, bro, because we literally get to the point where Rollins gets interrupted by Drew McIntyre. And they're doing this thing with Drew McIntyre where he's like being a heel, being a babyface. He comes out, and they're talking. Seth Rollins says something. Then it gets to the point where Drew McIntyre hits his ass. Straight up headbutt. Like legitimate headbutt. Headbutts him. Face is bleeding. It was a legit headbutt. That shit was crazy. Drew is basically, his character arc needs to be studied. I don't care if you watch WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, whatever it is. You want a perfect example of how to execute character evolution. It's the way that they've handled Drew McIntyre. Seth Rollins plants the seed for CM Punk. They move on from it. Drew McIntyre headbutts CM Punk. Or Seth Rollins, excuse me. Why does he headbutt Seth Rollins? Drew McIntyre wants a rematch. Seth Rollins says there's other people who are more worthy of it at this stage of the game. They're more deserving of the rematch. And it turns out that it's going to be Jey Uso. Next week on Raw, Jey Uso versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Drew McIntyre clearly doesn't like it. Why doesn't he like it? Because the whole storyline this time is Cody brought in Jey from SmackDown. The Bloodline shit. Again, continuity, A1. It's not a joke at this point. WWE is literally continuously reminding you of shit that happened months and months ago, and they're incorporating it into their stories. That is not the same WWE that we had a year ago. So WWE doesn't want you to forget these things. That is the reason why Drew McIntyre hit Seth Rollins. Thought this was really good. Love the fact that Drew McIntyre is a tweener, but he's leaning more towards this heelish character. I mean, in all sense of the word, he is a heel, but ultimately, we're starting to see in real time that there's like a little bit of sympathy for him as a babyface too, which is why I'm calling him a tweener for now. I feel like there's still a lot more to execute, which is really crazy too, because later on in the show they do a segment with with Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was talking about like, hey, everything that you've had, your ups and downs, I had the same thing. He's trying to relate to him. He's trying to be like a good brother, a good friend to Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre kind of agrees. Then he says he wants to wrestle Sami Zayn next week Raw. So they did a lot of setting up for next week, which I think is important. You already have a lot of eyes and a lot of focus on you this week because of the CM Punk and Randy Orton return. Plus, you got just tons of things happening in the world of wrestling. And then obviously you got to factor in Monday Night Football, right? Monday Night Football is a hot thing for WWE in terms of competition. So on a Monday night, next week, we get a World Heavyweight Championship match. And then we get Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And honestly, like, this is one of those things where, like, I can genuinely say WWE has, like, the Avengers for, like, top baby faces, like, top stars. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell. It's very clear that WWE has some really insane talent, and there's a lot of depth there. And because they have that depth with the top of their roster, it's just working on that mid-card to get them up to that point, right? It's stacked. You got CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Damian Priest. Like, there's a lot of top names in the company. Randy Orton, Sami Zayn. You look at Raw and you see all these different things, and the reality is you're trying to get the Chad Gables up there. You're trying to get Bronson Reed up there. You got to get the Johnny Garganos and Tommaso Ciampas up there. The only way that's going to work is by putting them on TV every single week. And then again, allowing the audience to get acclimated to them. Because once they get familiarized, once they see what can happen, WWE will be in good hands. We know they're talented. We've seen this shit before. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen it before. So it's really important that they execute that. Before we keep it moving, we got some shout outs to give. Yankee Frankie just became a level 2 member. He also dropped a $2 super chat. He says, do you think CM Punk will drop a pipe bomb on AEW? Yankee Frankie, good question. No, I don't think so. And if you're a CM Punk, you shouldn't. There's really no point in talking about CM Punk. There's no point whatsoever to talk about CM Punk. Or there's no point for CM Punk to talk about AEW because AEW is beneath him. That's the reality. See, in AEW, these guys take shots at WWE because they're trying to grow their business. They think the best way to do that is by becoming a challenging brand. Really, it's cheap bullshit. It doesn't make them look good. It doesn't look good for AEW when you have all your wrestlers today in unison tweeting out about how much they love AEW. They're only doing that shit because WWE's got CM Punk tonight. And then you'll have the AEW fans try to convince you that like CM Punk is washed or he's not this, he's not that. Go look at the numbers, look at the attendance, look at the ratings, look at every metric that you could think of has dropped for AEW with CM Punk being gone. They're in a cold period. It's not permanent. It doesn't mean their company is going to die. But at the same time, too, that's what AEW does. AEW takes shots at WWE. WWE doesn't need to do it. CM Punk dropped his promo. He said he's back home. He said he's not here to make friends. He's here to make money. It was a great promo. It's exactly what it needed to be. Obviously, it's got me wondering what the hell is next. But, like, that's going to, maybe he'll be on SmackDown. I don't know. That's up for WWE. They got to come up with a good story there. And, like, realistically, I hope they do. Because CM Punk is great, man. He's great. That promo was great. But obviously, it's just important that they stay consistent with that type of stuff. With that being said, shout out to Yankee Frankie for becoming a member and dropping that $2 super chat. We got another $2 super chat from Justin Kennington. He says, do you think Drew will bring back Broken Dreams theme song? Yeah, I do. I think at some point they do bring it back. Now, how they go about bringing it back, I don't know. Like, do they do it once he's fully healed? Do they do it when he wins a world championship? I don't know. It's hard for me to tell you guys anything about Drew McIntyre because he's kind of working everybody. He's frustrated. After the show, you see him getting pissed off and shit. They're trying to blend the scripted stuff with the real world stuff. There's obviously talks about his contract situation with WWE being frustrating and problematic. At the end of the day, I would say more than likely, if Drew McIntyre sticks around in WWE, I think they move forward at WrestleMania. They got to put him in a big marquee match for WrestleMania, and then I think they bring back the Broken Dreams theme song. But that's me personally. That's the way I would kind of look at it. And truth be told, when I look at it from like the perspective of a fan, just like as a fan of wrestling, forget about the like business side of things. I think Broken Dreams is just a better song in general. I don't care for the Scottish Warrior theme song, but that's just my opinion as like somebody who likes music and stuff. Like I always thought Broken Dreams was fire. There's a reason why back in the day with the WWE video games, I used to make that my entrance song. That's just kind of how it was. Shout out to Justin Kennington for the $2 super chat. If you guys are interested in dropping a super chat, it's really easy. Just click the money icon next to the emotes. It guarantees that I'll read your questions on the stream. So make sure you guys check that out. With that being said, we're going to turn our attention. At this point, we get the match between Zoe Stark and Nia Jax. I don't hate it. I don't love it. Weird to see Zoe Stark lose. She lost at War Games, Survivor Series War Games. She lost to Rhea Ripley. Then she goes on to have this match with Nia Jax. She gets thrown around. Nia Jax just pummels her. And look, Nia Jax came back. They're obviously trying to build some credibility with her. She's shown improvement. They need credible opponents for Rhea Ripley. it's very telling about it's very telling that Rhea Ripley is having stories with the men and not with the women, you know, in terms of like week to week TV. So I feel like in a sense, like with Nia Jax, the reason why she's winning these matches is because she's going to be fed to Rhea Ripley. I think that's going to happen at the Rumble. The problem with that is in the process, you're having Nia Jax defeat Zoe Stark, who can benefit from winning. So it's like what I was talking about earlier in the stream, where it's like you take a look and you see DIY and Indus Sher and the way that all goes down. Then you see Zoe Stark and you're like, at the very least, can you have made her look more dominant? Can you made it have looked a little bit more believable? I don't know. It's just like you don't want these people to lose the momentum that they have, especially when they're fighting to get a reaction from the crowd. They're fighting and trying really hard to become beloved by the fans. You have Nia Jax, who's a heel, and she's not liked by the IWC. You have her come in and beat Zoe Stark like that. It should have just, they could have done something, an interference, a DQ. They could have done something, you know, and I feel like this is kind of an issue. Albert just brought it up in the chat too. He said Raquel lost clean to Nia as well, and that's true. And these are people that could be potential stars for you. So you don't necessarily, I don't like throwing out the term buried. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if you say that they're buried, I think that's problematic, but because I don't think she's been buried. I just think it's like a dumb booking decision. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you only have one prize to win. Okay? And it's going to lead me to another topic that's really important. WWE needs a women's championship belt for the mid-card. Because when I see Zoe Stark lose, and I see Zoe Stark lose to Nia Jax, I see Raquel lose to Nia Jax. Again, as I said before, we know that they're trying to build Nia Jax for Rhea Ripley. You have a ton of women talent on your roster. They can have an Intercontinental Championship, a North American Championship. They can have a United States Championship. They can do anything they want, but they need to have a mid-card championship belt for the women. Because here's the thing. Zoe Stark, Chelsea Green, Natalya, Piper Niven. There's so many people on that women's roster that can benefit from having a mid-card title. The problem is, if they're not on a women's tag team and they're not competing against Rhea Ripley, the likelihood of them winning anything or being relevant without that belt, it's slim, because WWE is just getting to the point of where you're starting to see multiple women's storylines pop up. So I look at WWE from that perspective of things, and I think, wow, if they had a women's championship, Zoe Stark wouldn't need to be involved with Nia Jax. She wouldn't need to be fed to Nia Jax. The reality is, she would actually be much better off if she had a mid-card championship belt, defending it against people like Tegan Nox. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, Xia Li, you got to keep in mind, Becky Lynch didn't even have a match tonight. So, Xia Li, Tegan Nox, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, Zoe Stark, Piper Niven. Like, there's a plethora of women who have nothing to really fight for because they're not at that level to compete against Rhea Ripley. You got to establish a main event scene for the women, and you got to establish and build up that mid-card. If they have nothing to fight for at the very top, it is very difficult for them to get anywhere unless they have a prize worth fighting for. And this is the reason why Gunther has been super special with the IC title, because we know Gunther wants to be the best wrestler. We know that he wants to be presented as the best. But in order for him to do that, he's got to make history as the Intercontinental Champion. Eventually, he's going to drop that belt and eventually become a world champion because they've presented it as such. In order to make that happen for the women, they have to introduce a mid-card championship belt. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If they don't introduce a mid-card championship belt, I feel like it's detrimental to the women. I really do. I feel like you look at Raquel Gonzalez. You're not going to have Raquel take the belt off Rhea Ripley right now, but Raquel would be a perfect person to hold a mid-card championship. The only thing that's problematic about the mid-card title for women is the fact that you would have to introduce one for Raw and introduce one for SmackDown because there is a true brand split happening. And with that brand split that they have, you have to keep in mind Nick Aldis is the general manager for SmackDown. Adam Pearce is the general manager for Raw. The women's tag titles are already back and forth between both. They need to figure that out. I feel like it would be a massive game changer for the company. And on top of that, you would actually be helping the careers of a lot of women there. And again, the idea is for them to progress and get bigger and better. The only way they're going to do that is having a prize. 100%. I firmly believe that. And there was rumors in the past that WWE want to introduce a mid-card championship for the women. Maybe they should test it out in NXT as well because NXT is already stacked with the women's roster. But when you have such a stacked roster, man, you got to do a little bit more. And you got to do a little bit more for these women because Zoe Stark losing to Nia Jax, you're literally hurting her potential momentum. You're kind of slowing down her acceleration just for Nia Jax to eventually get fed to Rhea Ripley. And the whole purpose of that is to make Rhea Ripley the best in the women's division. And I understand that mentality, but at the end of the day, to make one person look good, you cannot be making other people look bad in the process. WWE has to fix that. WWE has to get better with that. Because for as much good as WWE is doing, that is an area of improvement that is needed. You got to start building up that women's mid-card. Tonight on Raw, there was no matches for Indy Hartwell or Candice LeRae or Xia Li. And they've been involved on Raw in recent weeks, and that's fine. They don't have to be on TV every single week, but it's not like all those names are quite established yet. So if they're not truly established yet, that is problematic. And it's problematic for WWE because, again, if you're not building stars, right? If you're relying on the same 10 names every single week, it could hurt your overall business. The formula is pretty simple. Build stars. Build out your mid-card. Build out your main event. And keep the process moving like a ladder. Have everybody get up that ladder, get to the very top, and you see better business results. So that's one of my complaints about AEW as well. It's like, aside from a few names, nobody cares about anything else. This solves that problem for WWE. I would really like to see that changed. Nonetheless, we'll keep it moving. What else? I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Don't hate me for saying this. I didn't care for it. But I don't care for makeshift tag teams. I understand that there's a storyline in play. I understand that they put together Natalya and Tegan Nox, but they're not a legitimate tag team in my eyes because they were kind of thrown together. I understand that they're trying to make sense out of it logically. I love Chelsea Green. I love Piper Niven. I love Natalya. I love Tegan Nox. This match wasn't bad. At all. It's just, it felt like filler. It felt like filler on the show. And, that's a problem for me. Like, I feel like they could have done something with maybe Xia Li or something. I don't know. But it just kind of felt like filler to me. I felt like that was a very weird... I know why they're doing it, but I feel like there's just so much better that they could be doing with that, if that makes sense. So, I found that to be kind of odd, honestly. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven win. They retain. It is what it is. And, yeah. We did get a super chat from Yankee Frankie for $2. He says, instead of McIntyre, could Rollins turn heel? It's a great question. I do not expect Rollins to turn heel at all. McIntyre is clearly going the heel direction. Rollins being a heel only makes sense if he's going to feud with CM Punk. If he's not feuding with CM Punk, which I think at this point it's safe to say he will, but until he feuds with CM Punk, he should not be a heel. At the same time, Drew McIntyre is technically a tweener. He's showing heel tendencies, but he's technically a tweener. So his behaviors speak more like a heel, but some things are also showing more from like a sympathetic babyface too. So for that reason, I would not change anything about Rollins just yet. Rollins is being a babyface, but him announcing Jey Uso as his opponent for next week was pretty much like being a joker. You know what I mean? So definitely a lot of interest there. Shout out to Yankee Frankie for the $2 super chat. We got a 5-bomb from Albert Ponce. He says, if the tag titles are not going to be booked properly when they're legit tag teams, drop them and create a mid-card title for the women. So Albert Ponce basically stating what I just said about the mid-card title. I don't feel like they should get rid of the women's tag team championship belts just yet, because there has been progress with them. But like Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, an actual legitimate women's tag team, who, by the way, are like pretty fucking sick, they're not even competing for the tag title. So, like, that's the thing. I think right now, in terms of overall interest, I think wrestling fans would be more interested in a women's mid-card title than a women's tag team title. At least that's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Which, I can understand that. But if you're the WWE, you can't give up on the women's tag team title belts just yet, because you got some stuff brewing on SmackDown, where I think the SmackDown women's roster, in terms of booking and storylines, has just become exceptionally well. It's a little bit different for Raw, and you got to remember, like, the problem that Raw has with their women's division is not the same problem that SmackDown has, so you got to keep that in mind. So right now, I'm not willing to say drop those women's tag titles, but I still think you should have a mid-card title. I don't think there's anything wrong with them having a mid-card title. People are going to be like, oh, well, it's too many titles. No, it's not too many titles. It's just going to force WWE to put more women on TV. The more women that they put on TV, the better it is overall for WWE. And honestly, I think it'll make for better content. So that's kind of the way I see it. Give me a second. Just got to pull this back up. Was there anything? What else was after the women's tag team match? Oh, Randy Orton versus Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, Dominic Mysterio still scared shitless, by the way. So he's still scared shitless. He comes out with JD McDonough. Long story short, Randy Orton beats Dominic's ass. I liked it, man. I liked it. I liked it. I like Randy Orton being back. He looks jacked. Dude is on fire. He beats Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio has come a long freaking way, man. That's for sure. If you look at Dominic Mysterio and pretty much like everything that he's done essentially since being on the main roster. He got thrown to the main roster during COVID. Dude comes out. Now he's with Judgment Day. Now he's North American champion. Now he's having decent matches with Randy Orton. It's like perfect, bro. And it's a safe match for Randy Orton. So you got to keep that in mind. It's a safe match for Randy Orton. So overall, I like that. I like the idea that WWE is kind of like, Dominic could afford the loss. Randy Orton needs the win. Randy Orton's going to keep feuding with the Judgment Day. I sense a very big singles match between Randy and Damian Priest, which could be really, really fun for Royal Rumble, if that's the route that they want to go. I'm not sure, man, because you got to think who's going to win the Royal Rumble. This year it's kind of unpredictable, and it could be a variety of people. And we'll definitely talk about that for the More Ango YouTube channel. That'll definitely be a topic, of course, obviously. We got a super chat from Darth Bane, $1.99. Darth Bane says, will Bayley get the boot from Damage Control? Whether she gets booted or whether she gets, whether she runs away from the group or gets booted, I don't know. But yeah, Bayley's clearly not going to be part of Damage Control in the future. It is relatively obvious that WWE has kind of looked at Bayley as a big potential babyface for the company. I think they're seeing it very clearly that the company needs a little bit of change when it comes to Bayley's direction. It kind of got stale, right? I think her getting booted from Damage Control makes Damage Control better. I think her turning babyface and bringing Sasha Banks back is the better way to go. Both are beneficial in different ways, That will have to be something I do a deep dive on, though, because quite honestly, that's probably like a 30-minute video. I'm not going to lie to you guys. That's like a 30-minute video. And the only thing about streaming after WWE Raw is WWE Raw ends at 11 p.m. Eastern. So we don't do 2-3 hour streams after Raw because it's late. You guys got to go to sleep. You guys got work, stuff like that. There's a reason why the show can have like 500 viewers in the first 20, 30 minutes. And then as time goes on, obviously it drops a little bit. So I don't want to spend 30 minutes talking about that. But long story short, if Bayley gets kicked out of Damage Control, it makes Damage Control better. If she leaves Damage Control on her own, I think it's going to be very, very significant that she does it. I think it's good for both parties no matter how they go about it. But just keep that in mind that if Bayley turns babyface and leaves Damage Control, whoever she aligns with, like, it's still going to be a feud with Damage Control. So whoever it is, like if it's Bianca, if it's Charlotte, if it's Becky, if it's Sasha Banks coming back, the feud is with Damage Control. There's still ways to put over Damage Control even if Bayley walks out on her own. So that's why it's a little bit more confusing, and I would need a little bit more time to talk about that in depth. But shout out to Darth Bane for the $1.99 super chat. We got another one from Real Take Wrestling for $1.99. Omer says, that Nakamura promo was heat. That shit was fire, bro. Literally, that shit's fire. I said it. I talked about it for like 10 minutes on this thing. I don't know how the hell they did this with Nakamura, because Vince McMahon, for some reason, made that guy look like he made him look like ass, bro. Vince McMahon puts Nakamura on TV, he makes him look like ass. Triple H puts Nakamura on TV, dude looks like God's gift to earth, bro. Like they literally change everything about this dude. He's more of a threat. He's a badass, dude. Like, his character shit's fire. He hits Cody Rhodes with the red mist. Like, I don't know, man. That type of stuff is what intrigues me. I don't care about 10-star fucking matches, bro. I don't care about that shit. Literally, Nakamura is the reason. Like, what we're seeing with Nakamura is the exact reason why I'm actually intrigued with characters and shit. He doesn't even cut his promos in English, yet they do the subtitles and stuff. But it just comes across as real and authentic and raw and like, I don't know, bro. Like, that's the type of stuff that keeps me hooked. I'm just being honest. So I agree, Omer. I agree 100%. The promo was heat. And the best part about it, too, is that, like, and I said this a little bit earlier on the stream, but the best part about it is, like, Cody Rhodes is a great babyface. We know he's a great babyface. Shinsuke Nakamura has been a great heel. A fantastic heel, to be honest. Like, this new push that he's getting has been really good. It will be very interesting to see how they cut their promos face-to-face or how they present their feud face-to-face. And I feel like Shinsuke Nakamura is actually going to be the guy that makes Cody Rhodes kind of go crazy to win. Like, I think we're going to see a little bit of a shift in Cody's attitude towards this feud, and I think that's actually necessary. So that's going to be pretty exciting to see happen in real time. With that being said, shout out to Omer, shout out to Darth Bane for your super chats. Appreciate it, guys. And then, yeah, we get the CM Punk promo. CM Punk is back, bro. He said it himself. He's home. And I love it, bro. I genuinely loved it. I love this promo so much, and I know people are going to freaking criticize it because people wanted CM Punk to talk shit. People wanted CM Punk to talk shit about AEW. People wanted the drama. They wanted the juice. They wanted that. But that's not what it was, bro. That's not what it was, and that's not what it needed to be. And I think, you know, WWE finessed everybody. They made you sit through 3 hours of Raw, which, by the way, I'll be honest, I don't like 3 hours of wrestling unless it's a pay-per-view. It's just always going to be that way. But they made you sit 3 hours for CM Punk to kind of open up a little bit and just flat out say that he's home. But the thing about CM Punk's promo that I liked, it sounded like he was kind of like, I don't want to say being accountable, because I don't know if that makes sense to say he was like holding himself accountable. But him talking about being home, talking about how he's changed. I love you guys. I almost feel like this was a setup. I think this was a setup. CM Punk says, I'm home. I've changed. I love you guys. At the end of the day, we waited 3 hours of Raw to get to this promo. And that's how he acts. But the last line in his promo was very simple. He says, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. And I'm just getting the real impression that CM Punk is going to be heel. I really genuinely believe he is going to be a heel. So while everybody waited 3 hours and they were hoping and praying that CM Punk would take shots at AEW, the reality is AEW is in the past. The AEW run is over with. Talking about it makes no sense. AEW is not on WWE's level in terms of overall popularity, overall business metrics. There's no reason for WWE to acknowledge that. There's no need to even look into that there's no need for WWE to look into that as a way to get CM Punk over, because it's not needed. CM Punk is already over on his own. But this was a babyface promo. I'm home. I'm back. I love you guys. Yeah, CM Punk said these things. In a way, it kind of looked like CM Punk. In a way, it kind of looked like CM Punk was trying to apologize to the WWE fans for leaving them. And it's crazy that CM Punk, out of all people, is the one apologizing. It's crazy out of all people that CM Punk is actually back in the WWE. But a lot of people are saying he's a hypocrite, and the reality is everybody's a hypocrite to the person that it doesn't affect. You know what I mean? What I would do if I were WWE, I would have CM Punk be a heel. I would have CM Punk drink the WWE Kool-Aid as a heel. Lean into it. Lean into this. Blend reality and kayfabe together. Because if WWE can make CM Punk a heel, especially in a feud with Seth Rollins, there's going to be a lot of money in that. And let's just be real. CM Punk coming back to WWE as a babyface is only good. It's only good for CM Punk at this point in time. And the reason for that is because WWE's business is already hot. They didn't need CM Punk. Them bringing in CM Punk just slows down AEW even a little bit more. From an optics perspective, it looks bad for AEW. Even though they fired him, it looks bad that AEW brought back CM Punk and it didn't work out with him, and now he's back in WWE. This man hated WWE so fucking much that it literally got to the point where AEW was supposed to be the saving grace, and it wasn't. And now he's back in WWE. Lean into that, bro. Lean into that. Make that money. Let him be a heel. Let him be a piece of shit. Do the babyface stuff now. Put him on an episode of SmackDown. I'm home. Cross paths with Roman. Whatever you got to do. Cross paths with Roman. Cross paths with all these other guys. Then if I were the WWE, I'd turn CM Punk heel. If I was the WWE, and maybe this is a shitty take, I don't know, you guys can tell me. If I'm the WWE, I would leak fake stories about CM Punk getting in backstage fights. I would leak fake stories about CM Punk having issues backstage with Seth Rollins. Literally, it should be a thing where at a WWE live event, CM Punk and Seth Rollins are both there. And literally, it should come out on social media that CM Punk and Seth Rollins got in a backstage fight. And that could literally catapult Seth Rollins and the CM Punk feud. It could catapult CM Punk's heel turn. That's the type of stuff that they got to do. Because in my opinion, if that's the type of stuff that they do, they're leaning into the stuff that happened from AEW without talking about AEW. That's the first thing. But 2, CM Punk naturally is a better heel anyways. And 3, I think people will be really invested because of the fact that wrestling fans, especially on the internet, they have this tendency to do things where, truth be told, they believe everything. They get worked, and they get so invested in the backstage drama. And as you get invested in the backstage drama, the reality is, if you lean into it, if WWE leans into that drama and that type of investment, I think they will have everybody questioning everything. And that was something that, by the way, that was something that AEW failed to do. AEW failed to capitalize on that. So they could have leaned into it. They didn't. I'm saying WWE should. This is the right way to introduce CM Punk. It's the right way to go about it. And on top of that, if I'm the WWE, I look at the money. And like CM Punk said, I'm not here for friends. I'm here to make money. And every wrestling fan, they don't want to hear that he's here for the money, right? They want to hear that he's here to do the work, whatever. So at the end of the day, I thought that was fire. I thought the promo was great. It's exactly what it needed to be, and it's exactly what I expected, so I didn't feel disappointed. With that being said, a couple shout-outs I want to give. Myra became a member for 21 months at level 2. That last statement, clap, clap, clap. Honestly, Myra, I have no idea which statement you agreed with, but I will say thank you for being a member for 21 months. Myra also dropped a 20 bomb. CM Punk is here for the monies. Eye emoji, eye emoji. Myra, that super chat gets a like. Thank you for dropping that 20 bomb. Yeah, he's here for the money. For sure. He'd be foolish not to be getting that money, though. Look at how much intrigue. WWE kept touting the numbers. You guys got to remember, for WWE, perception is reality. So when WWE drops, 71 million views or something like that, like they're dropping the numbers and the stats and everything like that. The CM Punk stuff is drawing, So when WWE has all these numbers, fans are looking at it like they're the shit. It's how it works in the world of media and sports. It's all about touting the big numbers and all that, man. It's all about that. So CM Punk is here for the money. Yeah, he is. Guess what, guys? He went to AEW for the money, too. In fact, he probably went to AEW to clean up his legacy a little bit because obviously the way he left was so bad. He went to AEW and AEW ruined it even worse. Now he has a chance to clean up his legacy and get paid a shit ton of money to do it. Why the hell would you not? Somebody has to explain that to me. Why would you not take the bag? WWE didn't need CM Punk. Again, I will say this a million times. They did not need CM Punk. They were selling out arenas and stadiums without CM Punk. CM Punk was in AEW, and WWE was still killing AEW in terms of like competition, right? In terms of growth and everything like that. They were killing them. So they bring in CM Punk. They pay CM Punk a lot of money. Now perception is reality. CM Punk came back after 10 years. He went to AEW. AEW didn't know what to do with him. There was issues there. They had to fire him. It just became a problem. And at the end of the day, that's just kind of how it is, unfortunately. Shout out to Myra for the 20 bomb. I appreciate you so much, Myra. Thank you again. And thank you again for extending your membership for 21 months. Appreciate you big time. We got another super chat from Justin Macias. I feel bad. I swear to God, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, bro. I feel so bad. $4.99 super chat. Do you think CM Punk will reunite with Paul again? If you're speaking about Paul Heyman, I don't think so. I think CM Punk will be solo. I think Damian Priest will be with Paul Heyman. I think Damian Priest will be with Paul Heyman. Me personally, that's just my opinion. I don't think CM Punk needs Paul Heyman at all. I would like to see them cross paths at some point because as we saw with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, that led to some really good content. So that is something I would like to see. I don't think they're going to do that right away, but a simple backstage segment would be really cool. Who knows? I wish they announced CM Punk, by the way. They didn't announce CM Punk for SmackDown, so it would have been nice if they did, but it's just, we'll see. Who knows at this stage, right? We'll see how that all goes down. But I like to think of it as like from a perspective of like long term. Like if you're the WWE, all they got to do is acknowledge CM Punk's history with Roman Reigns. If they acknowledge CM Punk's history with CM Punk's history with Paul Heyman, it could lead to some really cool moments backstage with Roman Reigns. Excuse me. I was having like a brain fart. So Justin, to answer your question, no, I don't think he ever goes back to Paul Heyman, but I think at some point they do acknowledge it. I think they lean into it a little bit, and who knows. But I think the right move for WWE, Damian Priest leaves Judgment Day long term. He goes with Paul Heyman. We already know there's some funky business between Judgment Day and the Bloodline. Damian Priest tonight was insecure. We saw this. He felt insecure about his leadership for War Games. Eventually, shit's going to fall apart. Who's going to help him feel like the man that he is? It's going to be Paul Heyman. The money's on the wall. Shout out to Justin for the super chat. We got another one from Ramit Tanija. Excuse me. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that correctly. 100 rupees from Ramit. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. Sorry, guys. You know I try not to butcher it. He says, MJF contract with AEW 2027. Will AEW is able for less TV ratings and less audience till 2027? Okay, I'm not necessarily sure exactly what you're asking, but I'm going to do my job to try to guesstimate and try to figure this out. So here's the thing. I always believed MJF re-signed. I always thought the 2024 storyline thing was dumb. Because I always felt like it was going to get leaked that he re-signed anyways. Do I think AEW will do fine ratings and less audience? Do I think they'll be fine with their audience and ratings? Yes. I think people are in panic mode about AEW because perception is reality. WWE's got a lot of momentum. AEW doesn't. The reality, though, is that AEW is at a stage where I think if there was more attention to detail in their product, they would be a lot better. That's the reality. With that being said, I think they are doing just fine. I think people look at ratings and they look at attendance and they start to freak out. But the reality is AEW, and I keep saying this on the channel, AEW has a beautiful relationship with their TV partners. They have a beautiful relationship with their advertisers, and they make people happy. They make the people in the suits happy, right? Yes, AEW, young company. Young company, 4 or 5 years in the business. For some reason, people have put them on this platform where they need to be at 3 trillion viewers and sold out arenas every single week and whatever. I don't think people have understood the magnitude of their success this far and how great and remarkable their success is. At the same time, too, I will always go down as saying this 100%. There is no chance in hell that AEW ever surpasses WWE. WWE is a well-oiled machine. AEW is not. With that being said, people need to stop fucking acting like AEW needs to be there. People need to stop acting like that. AEW does not need to be like WWE. They don't need to be number one like WWE. They don't need to do any of that shit. What they need to do is keep selling pay-per-views, keep selling tickets, and keep getting people to watch their show. And that's the reason why when I was talking about the CM Punk promo, if you expected CM Punk to do the shoot on AEW, that is dumb because WWE is so far ahead of AEW. They're in different lanes. Now, the thing is, that's okay. It's like people keep fucking thinking that they need to be like this competitive bullshit. It's not like that, bro. 2 wrestling companies could coexist. The only people who truly want war is the IWC. And honestly, sometimes I think Tony Khan does it because he wants to grow the brand. It's good for the tribalism. Tribalism is good for Tony Khan. Having those fans like push for his product and talk about his product, you got to get people talking. That's the way he's going to do it. He's the challenging brand. It makes a lot of sense for him to do it. I don't agree with it, but that's how Tony Khan runs his company. I might not like it. It's not for me in terms of what he's doing. But at the end of the day, people need to stop associating these 2 companies with each other. I think people need to stop looking at AEW like they need to have tens of millions of viewers. They need to do this and that. You can be successful without having to be on WWE's level. Okay? You can. There's like this false narrative that AEW is dying. I don't think they're dying. Their product is cold. I think there's things about their product right now that I genuinely do not enjoy. There's also a lot of things in that product that I fucking absolutely love. Like, that's how I see it. Swerve Strickland is killing it in AEW. I love it. I like the Adam Copeland and Christian and Kill Switch. I like that stuff. I like the Devil storyline. Hopefully it ends well, but I like it. There's things I like about the product. At the end of the day, Tony Khan, and I say this respectfully, Tony Khan sometimes just needs to shut the hell up. He just needs to put on the best possible product, so that way his words don't come back to bite him in the ass. This is why I'm glad that CM Punk didn't shoot on them. This is the reason why I'm glad Triple H, even when Triple H takes digs at AEW, he's doing what any other corporate man in a suit would do when they're touting their successful product. We're the best, we're the best, we're the best. You don't see these executives praise their competition. It doesn't fucking happen in the real world. It shouldn't happen in wrestling. Tony Khan needs to keep doing what he's doing. Eventually, wrestling will get hot again for AEW. Right? It'll happen. And eventually, WWE is going to have some pains as well. That's why we need more wrestling companies. That's why we need to have this. That's the reason why for years and years and years on this channel, I say, look, I'm criticizing based on how I enjoy wrestling. I understand. Things that I enjoy about wrestling. I enjoyed Raw tonight because I enjoy the little things. I enjoy the characters. I don't mind the cringiness and shit like that. I could watch AEW and watch some really fantastic wrestling matches and maybe be a little bit bothered by, like, maybe not as much storytelling happening. But it's okay. I don't need AEW to fucking do all that shit because I have WWE and TNA to do it. So at the end of the day, my point that I'm trying to make is wrestling is fine the way it is. Everybody should focus on their fucking products. And then everybody should shut the hell up. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Ramit, Tunisia, thank you for the 100 rupees. Appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Guys, if you have any more super chats, feel free to drop them in the chat. It guarantees that your questions and comments get read. Chester Franklin says, I got a question about Punk's theme. Why a remastered version of the song? They should have kept the OG version of Cult of Personality. Honestly, I have no idea. I haven't looked into the TV, to the music rights thing in a while. I'm not as well versed in music rights anymore. I'm sure there's a million reasons for it. I'm going to assume it's more about licensing or whatever, but I can tell you right now with the TV volume up and stuff, I don't really notice that much of a I don't notice that much of a difference, but I'm also not listening to it in high resolution. Albert says, people forget WWE was giving us Roman versus Corbin in a dog food match when AEW was hot. It all goes up and down. Exactly, bro. Exactly. And people really did forget that shit. And, you know, maybe it's a good thing that we forgot because that shit was bad, bro. That was bad. But that's Vince McMahon's era of WWE. So I don't give a fuck. If somebody tells me, oh, WWE's ass these days, that's fine. I don't care. You know what I mean? But the reason why I don't think it's ass is because I remember watching when it was actually ass. I remember those days. I did not enjoy it. I turned that shit off, bro. I would always laugh. I'm like, yeah, it's so funny. And then you would like watch it and you're like, this is dumb, bro. WWE had some weird up and down periods, but that's what it's like, bro. You guys got to remember 52 weeks of live professional wrestling. It ain't going to be perfect every single week. So that's why I appreciate the little things because I don't need a grand story all the time, but I just need little things to keep me hooked. People microanalyze wrestling, bro. I don't microanalyze wrestling. I might microanalyze things for like live streams and stuff, but like when I'm watching stuff, like it doesn't bother me. Like when I was watching Zoe Stark tonight and Nia Jax, I'm like, whatever, whatever. I don't know why they did this, but like I wasn't like, I hate this shit. I can't watch this shit anymore. That's not how it goes, bro. That's not how it goes. Mike said TNA mentioned WWE by name. Yeah, TNA, again, they want to be the challenging brand. They brought in Eric Bischoff and Hogan, and I mean, bad business decisions. This is why we are so thankful for Scott D'Amore and fucking everybody there, bro. Because everybody in TNA now, it's like whole different regime. They have ups and downs too, but that company, like, they're not concerned about WWE and AEW. They're just doing their own thing. Yeah. Are they not as big? Yeah. Do they put out a fucking awesome product? Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. If everybody just focused on their product, shit gets done, shit gets better. Cedric says 2019 WWE was honestly the worst year of WWE I ever watched. Bro, 2017 was shit. 2017. In 2019, they had a little bit of good, but there was still some shit. You know what I mean? Low key, bro, I actually, like, just in general, I mean, obviously now it changed a little bit with Triple H taking over, but for a long time, when WWE got on Fox, I thought that shit was ass. I felt like that shit in general was kind of booty, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, things improved a lot in the past year for SmackDown, but the greatest thing that SmackDown had, like, under Vince McMahon's era, of, like, modern era, was the 2016 SmackDown 6. Like, that shit was really fun. That stuff was fun, and, you know, Vince McMahon even got away from that, and whatever. It is what it is. Albert says Ango would go nuclear at that time point. Bro, I hated that shit. I hated that shit so much. I hated it, man. I hated it. It's not enjoyable. You guys know, like, I like you guys know, like, to watch 3 hours of Raw, even I enjoyed Raw tonight, but, like, you could take out a few things from the show and it would have been fine. But you have it for 3 hours long, you get some really good shit, then you get some filler stuff, and you're like, okay, bro, like, is it over yet? So, I'm not always a fan of the 3 hour Raw. I get why they do it. It's best for their business. From my experience, it's not that great, man. I don't know. It's just how it was, bro. It's just how it was. But nonetheless, my friends, doesn't look like we got any more super chats. We out here. We had almost like 500 viewers at one point. It's 12:36 in the morning. I know you guys all got a job to get back to in school or whatever it may be. So we're going to leave it like that. First stream back. Get ready, friends. It's going to be a badass time on this channel. The Ango Show live. Going to be so fun. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff. We'll bring people onto the show and stuff like that too. So I appreciate everybody for coming through. Tons and tons of super chats from the beginning of the stream. Tons of new members on the channel as well. Tons of re-ups as well. So with that being said, shout out to all of you guys. And don't forget, you could become a member. $1 a month. Plus Discord, so much more. Guys, if you're not in the fucking Discord, get in the fucking Discord. Please. Join the community. We talk in real time. It's very fun. I really enjoy those times. We did get a super chat. Where is it at? We got a super chat from Justin. Again, what up, Justin? For $1.99. He says, I hope we get unique stages for each show. Buddy, we've been talking about that for a minute. It's happening. It's expected to be when the new TV deals are done. When the new TV deals are done, you can expect those new stages. That shit gonna be fire, hopefully. But yeah, man, this was fun, bro. I miss streaming, honestly. I really miss streaming, and we're gonna do it more often. And I want to bring people onto the show and stuff like that too. So let me know. Let me know what you guys want to see. Justin, thank you for all your super chats. Everybody, shout out to y'all. Badass. It's been fucking moving and shit's been fucking stressful and hectic. So it's kind of nice to be able to stream and like not have limitations. No more camera cutting off. Not having to worry about my green screen bullshit. Got to get Albert in on the lives. Okay. Albert, get a mic and webcam. I'll bring you in, bro. I'll bring you in. I like Albert Ponce. Albert Ponce is a good man. He's a G. And you guys know when I do my live streams, I don't like to be structured. This is me hanging out, bro. You guys will probably see even me a little bit more relaxed going forward because I just like to chill and talk with you guys. So I appreciate you guys all stopping by. The Ango Show Live is back. I'll see you guys. Peace.